So I started with the 1851 Chronicle my freshman year. I was the editor-in-chief of my high school newspaper, so when I got to college, I immediately knew I wanted to be a part of the newspaper as soon as possible. So I reached out to Marie Franklin and I told her I was interested, and she immediately took me in with open arms, forced me to come to meetings, take stories, really pushed me and encouraged me to do as much as I could. And by second semester, I was the news editor for the paper. And then from there, my love for the paper has really just grown. And I've continued to work well with the people on staff and grown with them. And they've really helped me. And it just has been an amazing experience since day one.
So coming into Lasell, journalism was my one and kind of only thing I was really focused on. I think my parents really wanted me to explore other places, but I was dead set on journalism, and so I ended up getting connected with the Chronicle at the activities fair and with the sports editor at the time, Taylor Viles, also, and he kind of guided me and pushed me into more and more work with the Chronicle, getting into the upper levels of things, getting into the editorial side of things. That was a lot of Professor Franklin flat out saying, I want you here and I want you doing this, and me just, thankfully saying yes to every turn. And so between her and Taylor, they really pushed me into a lot of places I maybe shouldn't have been at the time, but made me better for it and made the product better now for it.
So the 1851 Chronicle was around, I want to say, about 20 years ago, and it had kind of gone almost extinct. It wasn't what it is today. And when our old advisor, Marie Franklin, came to Lasell, she decided to kind of rejuvenate the paper and bring it back to life, and has really helped it to grow what it is to this day.
There's some things that a student government can't control, but if they're able to at least get the word out there through something like the 1851 Chronicle, you can persuade public opinion, you can inform the public of what's going on and what isn't being changed, and sometimes that just information to the public is enough to enact the change you really want to or need to see.
Working for the Chronicle and journalistic writing is very different than anything you've ever learned. You learn the story arcs and how to write essays and lit reviews and all those things in high school, and then we get to college and the Chronicle and newspapers are an opportunity, and it's a completely different style of writing. So just learning kind of how to form stories and remain unbiased and all those things is super important, and it allows you to kind of have a different perspective on what you're writing and the world in general, as you just look at everything completely different.
I think that like any industry, journalism is constantly changing and evolving. With the digital era that we're in, it's quickly becoming a shift to an online presence, and that's something that unfortunately we need numbers to be able to do. So I hope that young, inspired journalists come in eager to help us grow our online presence, but I also hope that we never lose the art of print media, especially on a campus such as Lasell.
It was really hard to leave because I had put 3.5 years into this, and watching it over the past 1.5 years kind of move away from what it had been when I joined was really difficult. And we put in so many hours to put out a final product and get people excited and interested. And when what you dedicate your time to doesn't come to fruition the way you want it to, it's really difficult to process.
The past 2 years, we've had a really difficult time with recruitment and bringing in new people. So a lot of the workload has kind of fallen on a few upperclassmen to keep this print going. And the 1851 Chronicle has been an amazing publication for many years, and to see it kind of struggle and go through a rough patch is really heartbreaking to me and the other students on the school newspaper. People like Marie Franklin, who we always mention, and many alumni who came before us worked so hard to make the paper what it is today. So to see less people getting involved is it's difficult to navigate, and it's hard to continue to grow as a paper when you don't have many numbers coming in. So I really hope that more people show interest and come to our meetings, take stories, and really help this thing grow to be what it always has been and to be what we know it can be.
There have been enough situations in the last couple of years that are concerning, and there's been enough situations that have set us back both within our relationship with the school community and internally, that there's a lot of room to get through.
I think the people that are in the Chronicle in the positions to make things happen are doing everything they can. I think sometimes there's a little bit more support that they may need to make the changes that they want to see and need to see.
As a staff, we put out an editorial a few months back expressing our concerns to the community about the state of the 1851 Chronicle. And we had mentioned that we were in a lot of trouble and that we needed support from our community. But this is something that needs to be continued. We had a wave of support at that time, but I think we really need a continued push in the next 6 months, specifically in classrooms with students who show perspective skills for the Chronicle. I think that they really need to be encouraged to come by and help out with stories, because if that doesn't happen, I don't see how we'll be able to maintain all of the issues that we normally would in a year.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, the Chronicle's going to be here for another 100 years, and then 10 being Chronicle's probably gone by, some point next year, where do you feel the 1851 Chronicle currently stands?
I give it a 7.
I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, the level of danger that the 1851 Chronicle is in would be about an 8.5.
It's like that tough winter at Valley Forge for the Revolutionary War, where it's, okay, we have a half decent shot at this if we can just get through this winter. We have a chance if we just get through this winter. In my eyes, if the 1851 Chronicle can just get through this upcoming fall semester, if they can just make it through to December, things are going to look up and things are going to get better. And this could be around for as long as the school continues to exist, which I think also could be a very, very long time. However, there's enough things in the way for me to be apprehensive about them being able to make it all the way through and make it that distance.
I think that we have a lot of great, strong staff writers who are very passionate about the paper now, but unfortunately they are taking on way more than they should ever have had to because of the lack of numbers. And I think that if things don't change within the next couple of months, there will be nobody left to keep the paper running.
Even though they were students, the people that were kind of in charge saw something in me was a huge thing for me, and kind of allowing me to grow and step into what I wanted to do. And that's where I found more of the passion for writing and sports writing and storytelling and applying, traditional stories to sports and all those fun things. So really having people that believed in me and supported me through the process I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this experience.
On a personal level, it's been huge. I've talked a lot about repetitions and being able to just get that experience. And I think the way that I was kind of incorporated in sophomore year especially was huge for me, because I went from being a strong leader who was a little bit in over his head, as any high schooler is, to a strong leader who the game's kind of slowed down for him. And it makes more sense, and I can react differently than I could have 4 years ago. And the Chronicle and my experiences with the Chronicle leadership, my experiences stepping into Chronicle leadership, have made me so much better for it because of that opportunity to step in and see it and do it. It's allowed the game to kind of slow down, as I said.
There were so many nights spent working hard on the paper late at night where we'd all have laughs and get through the hard work together. And looking back, some of those times seemed tedious and stressful when we were working on tight deadlines, but those are some of my favorite memories here at Lasell, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.